Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Noah here. I wanted to make a video about my predictions of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's next few movies and shows that they're coming out with, because the chronological order of events has never really been, one after the other for the movies and shows. So I just wanted to predict where they would take place. And I'm gonna include the previous movies and shows just so you guys can know where they fit next to the newer ones that are coming out. And some of these are my guesses, and some of these are based on leaks or rumors or some details that have been confirmed. So I'm gonna start before I keep talking. So the first one on here is Blade, and there hasn't been anything from Marvel Studios coming out to say this, but I think that it's going to take place around the 1920s. Not the entire film, but part of this might take place in the 1920s. So either Blade is born around here or he's already an adult here, because obviously he can live longer, so he's a vampire. And if Black Knight is in this movie because of the Eternals post-credit scene, part of it has to be set closer to present day, so 2024, 2025 maybe. And then next, chronologically, is a movie that already came out, Captain America: The First Avenger. This movie takes place from 1943 to 1945. After that was the Agent Carter one-shot in 1946. Then Captain Marvel in 1995, then Iron Man in 2010, Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk. A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer, Thor and the Consoling. And in 2012, The Avengers took place, and during the week after that movie was Item 47, which is a one-shot, and Iron Man 3 took place in December that year. The one-shot All Hail the King takes place sometime during 2013, before Thor: The Dark World, and that movie takes place in November. So All Hail the King could take place any period of time before that. In 2014, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 take place. And the series of little episodes of I Am Groot that are coming out on Disney Plus must take place after. I think that they take place after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So either late 2014 or early 2015 for that show. And then in 2015, Avengers Age of Ultron happens. And in between that and Ant-Man, the WHIH Newsfront little YouTube series came out. And I choose to believe that's canon because it doesn't really contradict anything. It has an interview of Scott Lang before he gets out of prison. And after Ant-Man, I think Spider-Man freshman year is going to take place. So this is an animated show that's coming out on Disney Plus, and it's going to show Peter Parker during his freshman year, right after he gets bitten. So that definitely takes place in late 2015 or early 2016, because as we know from Civil War, Peter was 15. No, Peter was actually 14 in that, I think. So yeah. And this will make sense for his freshman year. 2016 was the beginning of Doctor Strange, and then the second season of WHIH Newsfront is showing the events leading up to Civil War, with Crossbones and all that. So for Captain America: Civil War, many movies take place right after that. Black Widow takes place between when Natasha leaves Tony and when Cap breaks Falcon, Wanda, and Clint out of jail. Black Panther takes place the month that Civil War ends, so June 2016. And Spider-Man Homecoming takes place that summer. Well, the beginning of his sophomore year, I think. In 2017, the movie Doctor Strange ends because that takes place over a period of about a year. And then in November, that's when Thor Ragnarok takes place. In 2018, there's Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Infinity War. And here's a prediction that that's not really based on anything. But I think that the Nova series on Disney Plus could take place around 2018, 19, anything like that. Because Xandar is destroyed by Thanos in Infinity War, so the whole Nova story could take place right after that, and this series could just be take place a few years before Endgame. It doesn't really impact anything except for including Nova into the MCU. The Halloween special, which is going to have Werewolf by Night, Man-Thing, and Elsa Bloodstone in it, this doesn't really impact the timeline at all. It could take place anywhere. So instead of including so many series after Endgame, I think that it would be interesting if they decided to put this before Endgame. So it would be like a couple years of build-up between the Midnight Suns being created. So if the Halloween special takes place before Endgame, that would be interesting. Same for the Daredevil series. This, a lot of people would assume would take place after No Way Home and Hawkeye. But I think that it could take place around before Endgame. So because it doesn't really impact anything. And plus, seeing Daredevil have to deal with the world after Thanos snapped would be interesting. Especially if it did show a flash forward after. Like, they could do that. It's not like a series has to take place in one specific time period. It could take place over a few years or show different viewpoints. We've seen that in a lot of projects already. For the Wakanda series, where Okoye is the main character, and it might focus on the Dora Milaje, that could take place before Endgame, because it is said that this is an origin spin-off for Okoye, so it doesn't really matter where it takes place. And since this is origin, it's like, it could just be like flashbacks, but like if it mainly takes place before like the Black Panther movie, it could take place there, or it could take place after Thanos snapped, right? So it could have her during the blip. That would be interesting, because obviously she's in charge, she's dealing with trauma and everything like that. Here's where we get to the year 2023. Endgame happens this year, and Loki gets, time traveled to the TVA. So Loki season 1 happens here. And then What If directly spins off from the end of Loki. So I'm just going to put What If season 1 and 2 right here, as well as Marvel Zombies. That comes out in like a couple years, I guess. So I'm assuming Marvel Zombies is just a similar show to What If. And since they're all like separate realities, I'm going to say that they take place right after Loki. In the main timeline, WandaVision takes place here. In the year 2024, I'm going to put the She-Hulk show here. I remember Bruce Banner in a sling in the teaser. It could be that close after Endgame, just a couple months. But we can't really place this yet. And then Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings takes place. It starts at the end of March, and then goes into April. Then Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place over the period of a couple months. Eternals takes place around here as well. Far From Home shows around the summertime of 2024, 8 months after Endgame. And I'm going to include Peter's to-do list and the Daily Bugle YouTube videos around here, because that's the same time period as Far From Home. I think that Thor Love and Thunder takes place around right after Far From Home, based on an Easter egg about New Asgard, and the fact that Groot is in this movie. So since Groot's here and he still looks very similar to how he did in Endgame, he hasn't grown up much at all, so it can't be that far after Endgame. Here's where No Way Home takes place, and the same for the Daily Bugle YouTube videos and TikToks that are like promoting No Way Home. I think that Armor Wars could take place around the end of 2024. Not for any specific reason, but it's kind of hard to place this because we don't know information about it. We do know that it takes place after Endgame because Tony Stark's dead. So, yeah, I put it here. And similar reason for Miss Marvel, I know that part of it takes place around Halloween. So it's at the end of whatever year, around October. So, if it takes place in October of 2024, that could they could set up the Marvels, I guess. And since I think that the show Secret Invasion also sets up the Marvels, I'm going to put it around the end of 2024 too, because I'm pretty sure it has to take place after Far From Home because of the Nick Fury cameo at the end. And obviously with the Skrull involvement there, it has to take place in 2024. We know when Hawkeye takes place, around the last couple of weeks of December 2024. Disney Plus labels Moon Knight as taking place after Hawkeye, so that's early 2025. I'm gonna put the Marvels movie in 2025 too, so a few months after Miss Marvel and Secret Invasion maybe, because I think that both of those shows are gonna lead up to the Marvels. It's just common sense. I think that Echo takes place a few months after Hawkeye, just because it follows a character that originated in that show. The 10 Rings series comes out in a few years, I would assume. I don't even know if it's in production yet. So I'm going to put it around 2025, so like a year after the first Shang-Chi movie. So it might show what Jai Ling's doing with the 10 Rings since she's in charge now. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, for a fact, takes place a few months after No Way Home. So that's mid-2025 at the latest, I would say. And then, we don't know when the mutant-centered film takes place. We don't even know what it's called. But I would say that might take place after Multiverse of Madness. No one knows for sure, but I'm going to say it takes place 2025 around. Captain America 4 should also take place in this year. So like a year after the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, maybe. I don't know what he's going to do in this movie, what Sam Wilson's going to be up to. But I think it could take place about a year after that movie. I mean, after the show. Spider-Man 4 could take place when Peter Parker's going to college his freshman year. So that would be, after mid-2025. So I'm going to put it around here, unless they skip his freshman year or whatever, or don't show the beginning of it. I don't know how the movie's going to work out because it's probably going to come out in a couple years. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is not going to have T'Challa in it. So I don't know how long they're going to give the movie universe until he eventually dies. I'm assuming that's what they're doing because of set pictures of a funeral. So that movie might take place in 2025 just to give it a couple years after Endgame. For the Ironheart series, it probably takes place after Wakanda Forever just because Ironheart's in that movie, and that's her first appearance in the MCU. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania probably takes place a couple years after Endgame, and since they replaced the Cassie Lang actress, I don't know, they might just show that too, that she's getting older, so they might explain it better. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Groot looks way older, so I gave it I put it in the end of 2025, so maybe Christmas time 2025, so that it explains why Groot looks older. Because if he's a teenager in 2024, like, it can't take place that much longer after, but like if a year or over a year passes, that would explain why he looks bigger. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 takes place after that, so if it's taking place after Christmas 2025, it only makes sense that this movie will be in 2026. This is not confirmed whatsoever, but I'm just trying to think logically, and this is one of the ones that I feel most confident about. For Eternals 2, I would hope that, the Eternals sequel would take place like almost directly after the first movie. Agatha House of Harkness could take place around this year too. No one knows what the plot of this show is going to be, but since we last saw Agatha in WandaVision, she's pretty much stuck in Westview, as not even knowing her true identity. I don't know how she would come back, but I was thinking that this could be a prequel, set hundreds of years before the main movies start. But I feel like they would try to put it modern day. And since this movie already comes out this show comes out in a couple years, I will put it around here. And she does babysit Franklin Richards in the comics, and Franklin Richards is the son of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. So those characters will be in Fantastic Four. And if they want to make that connection in the MCU, that would make sense to set it in the same year. So Agatha House of Harkness and Fantastic Four could be set close to each other if they want to have Franklin Richards in that movie. And then for Shang-Chi 2, I also set it 2 years after the first Shang-Chi movie. And since the 10 Rings show would be a year before this, I think that would be an acceptable way to tell the story. So yeah, thanks for listening to my thoughts. I just wanted to make some predictions, and then if you're watching this when some of these projects already came out, you'll know how wrong I am, and then I'll obviously come back to see my thoughts on this, and I could even make a new video in the future changing it. or like predicting once we know about new movies and shows. I don't know. This is just what I think it could be. I feel like a lot of these don't seem right, but it's the best I could come up with based on having very little knowledge. So yeah, like this video if you were actually entertained or this made you think about anything. And yeah, watch my other videos. See ya. Hope you have a nice day.